over to the baby and push the baby down. You're not as good as me. You're not as good as me. We can't have you walking too, because then it looks like you're as good as me.
I'm not your chick, not your boo, not your side piece. Keep that too. This is the end.
Hey guys, so listen, I just want to jump on here so we can have a chat today. Hold on. And so this is really my first time doing this on YouTube. So thank you so much for joining me. We're gonna have a great chat. We're going to have an empowering chat. If you've ever followed me anywhere else, Facebook, if you've ever followed me on TikTok, especially if you've ever been in my TikTok lives, then this is no surprise to you. But like I said, it's my first time on YouTube having this type of chat. So I hope you like it. Let me know if you want to see more of this type of content. If you don't let me know, you're going to see more of this content anyway from me, because it's who I am. It is my heart. It is my soul. It is my reason for breathing and living. This is my purpose. This is my calling. So what I'm talking about is healing. What I'm talking about is being transformed and allowing God to transform you. I want to talk about love, okay? So I spend a lot of time with God. I wish I could spend more time with him, just more undivided time and not be distracted by anything. However, I was spending time with God this morning alone in the shower like always, and I heard clear as day. This is something, love is something that we have to really make an effort to understand so that we're able to walk in it, truly walk in it and experience better lives. If you follow me, you hear me talk about and post about a beautiful life, a fulfilling life. And so what we are really talking about is a life where we understand what love is, we understand the power of love, and we begin to walk in that, become that, and walk in that, and extend that to everybody else that we come in contact with, whether it's through social media or personal relationships, personal associations, maybe not intimate relationships. So this is what I got. So we understand when a baby is beginning to walk, okay, that baby is going to fall. And so we all start out in life this way. And then as we become parents, when the baby falls, we're still smiling. We delight in even their falls. We love them so much. We adore them so much. We're so accepting of this baby, this very life. This baby's being is so amazing to us. We love it so much that even every fall just puts a smile on our face. And of course, we are concerned instinctively initially, but then we just smile, knowing that it is part of their learning. And so what we do is nurture the fall. We help them get up. We give them words of encouragement. We speak life and say, baby, get back up. You can do it. You can do it, baby. That was good. That was good. We actually validate the falls. We encourage the entire learning and growing process. And that's what love is. That's what love is. But sadly, in this world, we don't really understand how powerful love is, because we see a lot of fake love. We see a lot of substitutions for love called love. It's called love. So it can take us years, decades, and some people sadly never come to the full realization of what real love is and how powerful it is and how it is life. And it is literally what makes life valuable. It is what makes life life. Not just a game, just survive. Just get by. But just imagine, let me give you the same scenario. Imagine a parent who is watching their toddler, their baby, beginning to walk. And when the baby falls, they say, oh, you're so stupid. Okay, you're just stupid. What are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. You know how stupid you look right now? You must not be that smart. You must not be that smart. Imagine even worse, because this is what we begin to do as this world taints our way of thinking, okay? And taints our hearts. This is exactly what we begin to do. However, if we saw a parent do this, we would be outraged, we would be mortified, we would be horrified, we would be scared for that child, knowing what that can cause and how that can destroy a child and break a child's heart. Now just imagine, that would be bad enough, but then we actually do worse. This is a metaphor, but we actually do worse. And so a lot of us, once we become envious because we have allowed jealousy to take root in our hearts, what we do is even worse. We actually walk over to the baby and push the baby down. You're not as good as me. You're not as good as me. We can't have you walking too, because then it looks like you're as good as me. So I'm going to push you down and I'm going to watch you suffer. I'm going to cause it, because that way I am the only one who is standing and I look like I'm better than you. That's what envy is. And so admittedly, we know it is absolutely wrong beyond the shadow of a doubt to not nurture a child, to not nurture that baby if the baby falls. And every time that the baby falls, but just imagine if we pushed the baby down, what would happen? The baby at some point would learn, why get up? I'm getting emotional because I'm telling you, when God speaks to me, this is what always happens. I don't try to hide it. I don't even try to hide it. I understand that God literally speaks through those of us who will allow him to. And so here's what happens in life. Somehow we get older, okay? We experience more and more of life, and we become the people who laugh at the baby who fell rather than nurturing that baby who has fallen and encourage the baby. Or worse, we become envious because the jealousy has now taken root in our hearts and we're competing. So now I will push you down, figuratively or literally, destroy your life, your reputation, lie on you, whatever I have to do to make sure I am the only one standing and you are obviously less than me, even though I have caused you to appear that way and you're not even less than me. So God spoke this to my heart. When you love as God loves, you can love a person's mistakes. I was going through a bit of a rough patch in my marriage. When I say a bit of a rough patch, I'm really so blessed. And we're still human. So these things happen. And I heard God speak to me clearly and say, can you love him as he is today? And as a vessel, I understand that's what I am, yielded to him willingly. My response was, yes, Father. Yes, I can love him as he is today. He loves me as he is today. God loves me as I am today and accepts me with all my shortcomings, flaws, whatever you want to call them. So when we say we love someone, we got to come to a point where we fully understand what that means and what we are saying, and where we are committed to learning to truly love indeed. Love the person's life. Don't just love them when they're up, and that's not love, by the way, because it's conditional. Don't just love them when something looks like it's going great for them. So now what you actually do is really like what's going on and you call it love. But when you actually love somebody, you can love their mistakes. You can love their shortcomings because it is a decision. Love is a commitment. It is literally humility, where you lend yourself to the appreciation and respect for somebody else's life and the appreciation and respect for somebody else's journey. Because really, we are all on a journey. We are all falling all the time and getting back up. We are all making mistakes all the time. And if we want to learn and we're willing to learn, that we will continue to make mistakes and recognize our own mistakes, which keeps us humble and compassionate toward other people and when we see other people making their mistakes. But I think about my relationship with my daughter. I don't have only one child, I have 4 altogether. I think about my marriage with my husband. I think about my relationship with myself and my intimate relationship with God. And what I see over and over, what I sense and desire in all of these cases is just an acceptance of, okay, you made a mistake, that's fine. It doesn't define you. Imagine the toddler falling and falling and falling and falling. And at some point you just say, oh my God, you're just a failure. I no longer have hope for you. I no longer have hope for you. And not only that, but now I turn around and behind your back, I tell everybody all she does is fall. All she does is fall. She's a failure. And now you allow people to also see somebody that you claim to love through that same lens. And so you have decided that you determine somebody else's identity. Audacity. Audacity, but we can change. It's wrong. There's no justification for it. There is no justification for it. So if you recognize yourself in what I'm talking about, and you can relate to having had these feelings, which you should be able to relate to if you are human, just know that as long as you're breathing, you still have time to change. I know some very personal things about my husband, about my daughter, things that people have looked at, pointed at, and of course about myself. Things that people have looked at and said, oh, they just magnified something they didn't agree with and decided to pin that on my daughter, decided to pin that on my husband, or even in myself, in my life and throughout my life, and say, oh, that's your identity. They chose to not see the get-ups, the resilience, the strength, the courage. Wherever there was great moral conviction, they just chose not to see the due diligence. As a parent, the bar none commitment as a parent, commitment to God, they just chose to dismiss all of that, look at the baby and say, all she does is fall. She's a failure. So what I'm saying is, when you truly love somebody, I need you to hear this perspective. You love their mistakes. You don't allow their mistakes to identify who. That's not their identity. It is only what makes us human. It is only what makes us human. And listen, surround yourself with people who, when you fall, they're still smiling. Girl, but you was looking good when you fell, boo-boo, and you dusted yourself off. Yes, that's my girl. Yes, girl, you got up last time. You got up last time. You're a winner. Do not surround yourself with people who will forever hold on to your mistakes and decide you are a mistake. Hold on to the people that say, girl, I love that you just keep getting up, that you always shine. Girl, I love, matter of fact, when you love somebody's mistakes, at some point, like God, you don't even remember the falls. You don't remember the falls because you don't want to, because you don't need to, because you know what it feels like when somebody only knows you as every time that you fell. Every time that they didn't agree. Shoot, you didn't even have to fall. Just the times where they didn't agree. They didn't understand. And as a little caveat, let me explain this. You don't get attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked by an enemy who is ever present, whether you believe it or not, unless you are already a force called and to be reckoned with. It's that simple. It's that simple. So make a decision today I can love even my mistakes. I can nurture even my mistakes. I have seen people get really bad, and I've experienced it. Really bad labels, and envy was behind it. It was just envy behind it. Because I see people fall. I see people fall. And I've had the privilege of coaching women, of ministering to women, of being a spiritual mother to young women, being a spiritual sister to women, and a friend, and a spiritual support, and just being love in other women's lives. And I wasn't interested in talking about their falls. I was interested in nurturing their falls. Okay, baby, I'm going to help you clean up that knee. I'm going to help you clean up that beautiful knee. That beautiful knee. I don't care if it's bruised. I'm going to help you clean up that knee. I'm going to help you get back up. And I'm not at any point going to decide that you are less than because you fell. Because I don't want to. I don't want to do that to you. Love nurtures even the mistakes. Has compassion even for the so-called mistakes. And let me just add, just because something looks like a mistake doesn't mean it was. You don't have the mind of God. I don't care how intelligent you are. His thoughts and his ways are so much higher that even those of us who have accepted his Holy Spirit into our hearts and into our minds, we are as humanly close as possible to him. And our ways and our thoughts still are so small and far behind his. Still. So just because you perceive something as a mistake doesn't mean that it was a mistake. You know, I always say, if you think that you can rightfully condemn somebody because you found a flaw, a mistake in their life, then I would say this. God can only use those people because there are no other type of people. Wake up. Wake up. There are no other type of people. There are no other type of living, breathing human beings in this world, on this planet, in this daggone universe. So please get this crazy idea out of your head that somebody is less than because they have faced challenges. When I look at all the challenges that I've faced, I love how I triumphed. I love how I overcame. And I give God all the glory because at some point it became, things had gotten so much. The burden just became so heavy. It became so overwhelming. I needed his insight. I needed his perspective. I needed his comfort. I needed his guidance. I needed his counsel. I needed his friendship. I needed his voice. I needed his wisdom. I needed all of him. People, listen, be encouraged. It can be very hard to love people in the day and age that we are living in because so many people are so damaged that they can't even receive the love. They don't know how to receive it. It actually offends them because they're only comfortable with and familiar with dysfunction. Keep them in prayer. Keep them lifted up. And remember, surround yourself with people that say, the smile doesn't go away when you fall. Surround yourself with people who don't flinch when you fall, when you make a mistake. Surround yourself with people who forget the mistakes and just go, that's my girl. That's my girl. Oh, I love when she shines. I love when she gets back up. She's always getting up. I don't even remember her falls. Listen, God looks at our heart. He looks at the heart of men. and women. That includes women. He looks at the heart of mankind. So don't tell me you can love somebody when all you can see is what their actions. We keep confusing love for like. We keep confusing love for like. We find it hard to believe that God can love us knowing everything he knows about us, knowing all of our mistakes and all of our mess ups, because we keep thinking God is like human beings. No, it is his will for us to become more and more like him just by drawing close to him and allowing him to renew our minds and to heal our hearts. But he is not like us in terms of the idea that we have of love. And it is just an idea of love. Real love has nothing to do with like. It has nothing to do with like. I've seen people just think they are amazing. Oh, I'm so beautiful. I'm so good to the people I care about. You're only good. Oh, I love. I'm just the most loving person. I have the biggest heart. If you truly, truly are the most loving person with the biggest heart, how do you treat the people that you don't even like? How do you treat the people that you perceive to be beneath you, less than you, don't have as much as you, maybe not as put together as you, maybe not as successful as you, maybe not the same sexual orientation as you, maybe wasn't raised the way you were raised? How do you treat those people? Because love and like is different. We keep thinking that God just this unconditional love. God cannot love me that much, because you keep confusing love with like, and you keep thinking the way you think, and you don't realize he is different. He's different. How do you treat the people that you don't like that much? Are you willing? Are you willing to say, I don't have to like her. I love my father enough to love her because he loves her. Do you love somebody? Do you have enough love in your heart to say, I don't care what happened in the past. I love her because I see a person who loves God, who is willing to accept and embrace me. At the end of the day, I have to be honest about who she really is. I have to throw away her mistakes that I've been holding against her. And I have to make a decision to honor my father by actually seeing her heart. Who is she? Who is she? It's so easy to hold mistakes against people and hold them and hold on to them for dear life. When you do that, you become a very envious person, and envy is a sickness. When you get to the point where you can envy people, it just means you are so insecure, you want other people to be insecure. You don't feel like you're good enough, so you don't want anybody else to feel like they're good enough. Sure, you will cheer on celebrities, but if they got close enough to you, would you still be able to cheer them on? Because all them issues that you don't deal with in your heart, they don't just go away. We can mask them. They don't just go away. So no, nobody has envy stamped on their foreheads. But if you get to know what envy looks like and just pay attention, it will become that obvious because of the way they behave. Oh, that'll be the person who stands up at your wedding, and instead of congratulations, I wish the best of you, they say something, I wish the best for the two of you. That's the person who instead says something questionable, isn't loving, isn't nice. Envy is a sickness. It will literally make you sick. I left a relationship. I don't know how many of you know my testimony, have heard anything. Anybody watching this, maybe no one watching this has heard my testimony. I've shared my testimony a lot. Let me just say this really quickly, make a long story short. There are stories in the Bible where God is showing us what envy is. He is teaching us. He is warning his kids, his sons and his daughters, what envy is and how dangerous it is. It can literally make you sick. And if you live a life where you seek to tear down and destroy other people, destroy other people's reputations, just use people because you feel like it makes you look good when you use a particular person who has more than you have, or you always have something negative to say, or you delight in gossip, be careful. There's still time to change. The person that threatened that he was going to take my life isn't here anymore. I'm going to leave it at that. And not because of me. And not because of me. You will literally reap the harvest of the seeds that you sow. Do not just carry hatred in your heart. Do not. And even if it is only in those quiet places when you are alone, where you hear those thoughts, ask your Father to help you. Ask him to help you. He wants to help you, and he will absolutely help you. Can you love a person's mistakes? I have worked with people who were in the last stages of their life, okay? Hospice care patients. A lot of people don't even know this about me. And people who had dementia and Alzheimer's. And their behavior can be very erratic and unpredictable until you really get to understand these conditions. Then it's not that unpredictable, but it's very hard and very challenging to deal with. How do you treat people when it's not easy to like them? When everything's not all sunshiny and pretty and great, and when it's not fun time and hey, special event and birthday celebration? How do you treat people? How do you treat people when nobody's looking? How do you treat people when nobody's looking? When nobody's looking and you are the only person who can hold yourself accountable for a decision that you make in a particular moment, how are you treating that person? How are you treating that person? You got to love people's mistakes. If you love somebody, that's what God's love is, and that's our example of love. Can you love their mistakes? Can you nurture their mistakes? Can you look at their mistakes with compassion? Can you just decide to respect their journey, knowing with our kids, especially if you have adult kids, you have to just continue to lift them up no matter what's going on, because this world is savage. You have to continue to lift them up and not be afraid, trusting God, knowing that I respect your journey. We all have journeys, and we all have to spread. Young adults spread their wings just the way we spread our wings, and they will learn. But love is not a feeling. It's not a feeling. It's not a feeling. When it is a decision that you have committed to, the thoughts will cause you to feel compassion. Love itself is not a feeling. If you need a feeling to show somebody love, then you're not at the point where you fully understand what it is. But you can get there. But you absolutely can get there. Listen, if you stayed with me this far, thank you for listening. I really hope that this blessed you. I really hope, if you're not subscribed already, that you will subscribe so that we can have more of these conversations. I want to talk about Shanquella Robinson and that whole case, because I just wanted to preface the discussion with this discussion. Careful. Be very careful. Love yourself enough to have very definite boundaries that you don't have to justify to anybody. The only reason Shanquella Robinson is gone is because she got close to people who were envious and therefore hateful. Do not underestimate the evil that can be in somebody's heart. Do not think because people smile and they want to do nice things with you that makes them a nice person. Often things appear to be nice and they are not at all. From the beginning of time, Satan knew that he could not present himself as who he was. From the beginning of time, Satan, once he had fallen, once he decided to rebel against love, against God, knew that he could not present himself as who he was. He could not expose his true motives. He could not expose his true identity, where he came from and what his intentions were. He knew he had to be deceptive. So without deception, all manner of evil is not possible. Remember that. Remember that. You've got to be willing to go to your Father and seek his insight. Seek what he has to say. What does he have to say? Forget it. You've got to be willing to just forget how you feel, because our feelings can steer us wrong. And I am by no means saying that Shanquella Robinson was responsible for what happened to her. She absolutely was not. She absolutely was an outstanding, beautiful young lady. That was my daughter. I would have been very, very proud. I would have been very proud if she was actually my daughter, but that's how I look at her. That's a young black woman who is half my age. I have been where she was. I've been where she was, and she was supposed to get to 50 just like I got to 50. So it's heartbreaking. It angers me. It saddens me. A whole array of emotions. We were supposed to learn something from this story. We were supposed to learn something. So let's not allow that her life to have been in vain. It wasn't. But let's make sure that we are able to make a conscious decision to grow and carry on a piece of the beauty of her life. We're all connected, whether we think we are or not, which is why the enemy's most valuable tool is division, to pit us against each other, to have us competing against each other, to deceive us so that I think if I'm winning a competition against you, I'm better than you. It's division. It's division, because division is the only thing that destroys the power of love. It is the only thing that destroys the power of love. I want you all to live great lives, to protect yourself and to be protective of those who you love, and those of us who you are learning to love as well. To respect your own journey, celebrate your own journey, and to celebrate others' journeys as well. It's enough. Enough of the hate. Enough of the senseless death. Enough. Young women, the devil is using you, because we are the life givers. We are the nurturers. We are the one that shape and mold every human being that comes into this world. So of course, just like in the beginning of time, he needs to attack women. Of course, he needs to. But we got to be one step ahead of the enemy. We got to say, no, enemy, I see you for who you are. You will not destroy my heart. I will not become hateful. I will not harden my heart against God, become hateful, and now begin to destroy other people's lives for the rest of my life. Number one, that will come back to you. Number two, you don't have to settle for that existence. You don't have to settle for that. Understand, you do not have to settle for that horrible existence. You don't. You don't have to settle for an existence of being captive and enslaved by the enemy who has no love for you, who will use you and destroy you. Yeah, that's your reward. That's your reward. When you want his ways and you want to just, that's what you want to do. Stick it to people, tell people off, make somebody else hurt, insult another woman. You know how many days I've been having? I was having a great, beautiful day. Oh my God, I get the most beautiful compliments from women. And I thank God that this has been my life for a long time now. No matter how old I get, I am still constantly getting beautiful compliments from women, young and old, white, black, everything in between. And yet, there are still always those encounters with some woman who says, you looking good, you feeling good? Let me open up my mouth and try to hurt you. Let me open up my mouth because misery loves company. You cannot just be shining. Oh, let me do something about that. You're hateful. You're hateful. I see it for what it is, but not everybody does. And a lot of women suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer. And while we claim to, we just lift each other up and applaud each other. Just like in Shanquella Robinson's case, a lot of times we're absolutely not. Oh, honey, I have had jobs where the only harassment came from women. And that's a taboo subject because I don't hear anybody talking about it. I barely hear anybody talking about it, but I've experienced it. I've experienced it, okay? The thing about harassment is people never want to admit to it. But when you experience it, you know what you're experiencing. And it's not only harassment if it comes from males. If it is improper conduct in the workplace that causes an employee to feel uncomfortable, and it's personal, and it's especially if it's ongoing, it is certainly harassment. Certainly. That has nothing to do with your work performance. So not to get off a topic, but we have got to be mindful of who we are and when we're honest about our hearts. See, because we know how to mask and cover up and pretend and put on facades and be fake and smile and to contradict, make sure our faces contradict what's really going on inside. We know how to do that. But those of us who know how to get alone with God and say, God, search my heart. Search my heart. Those of us where we have a judgmental thought and our very next words are, God, help me. Not, let me go attack her. Let me get on the phone and start talking about her and make sure nobody else likes her because I hate the way she shines. So I got to do something about that. But instead, our next thought is, God, help me. God, help your daughter. We have got to learn how to be honest about our own hearts. We have, in the Shanquella Robinson case, so many lives destroyed. So many lives destroyed by an enemy. The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Okay? That is spiritual warfare that all of these young people have handed their lives over. And for what? Because we don't understand what is at the root of these types of behaviors. So I've been doing this for years now. I always get to the root because if we don't get to the root, we can punish people, we can send people to jail. But are we actually better off? Is mankind actually better off? Is this world that we are responsible for, that we all have to share, actually better off? It's better off when we understand what is at the root of these issues and what causes these issues. And sadly, ignorantly, we live in a world that says punish the actions, punish the actions, punish the actions, punish the actions. I'm telling you, if you go before God and ask God to search your heart and you are willing to allow the love of God into your heart, that is what changes everything. That is where the real transformation is, the lasting transformation. But as long as we don't see the enemy for who he is, we will hear about these types of cases and these types of stories in the news over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I especially always want to talk to young women because the enemy has played such a trick on us. Such a trick on us. Beating us down, beating us down, beating us down. Having us believe that we are nothing but the size of our physical body parts. Do you know it is your responsibility to teach a man how to respect you? It's your responsibility to teach him. If he isn't willing to learn, then he needs to be dismissed. Period. Period. Because who is going to teach him if you are in intimate relationship with him and you're not teaching him? This world damn sure is not. It damn sure is not. So listen, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We are going to talk more. I'm going to continue to have these chats because we need it. We need our souls fed. We need our minds fed. We need our spirits fed. And we live in a very real world where we need to see what is really going on at all times. And from that foundation, you can absolutely be living your most beautiful life and walking in the God-given beauty, peace, joy, and power of love that He intended for us to be walking in. Thank you so much. Please remember, like, share, comment below, talk to me. Talk to me if you have made a commitment after listening to my video to start to examine your own thoughts and your own heart. Let me know. I am here to support and encourage. I don't care who you are. Know that you are loved, you are loved, you are loved, you are loved beyond measure. I don't care what this world has told you. God does not consider you a failure because you fell. He considers you His baby that He just wants to get up. And He will celebrate you when you're sitting on your butt. And He will love you when you get up off of your butt and start walking. We are on a journey until our last breath. And that's the truth. Love you so much. Have a beautiful day, and we will talk again soon. Bye, guys.
Not your chick, not your boo, not your side piece, keep that too. I'm not your chick, not your boo, not your side piece, keep that too. Not your chick, not your boo, not your side piece, keep that too. I'm not your chick, not your boo, not your side piece.